Welcome, everyone, to the Captive Audience. It is the 3rd of November, the day before Election Day in New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City, and California, and many other places. But it's actually much more special than just that. Tonight, yes, you saw it right on the preview on Facebook. We have longtime Captive Audience co-host since the very beginning, Suni Danforth, coming to us from the great free state of Florida. Sonny, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It is the first time coming back, and yes, it's 9 o'clock over here, and then we have the time change. Anyway, it's wonderful to come on, and thank you for the invite, Kevin. I got to tell
And
you,
when was the last show that you did? Just remind me of the date, because you probably remember it better than I do.
I'm sad to say I do not, but
But
it
a
has,
lot has happened, and that's why I was thinking of
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's been, well, it's been probably, I'm going to guess 2 months. I think 2 months. That's what I would say, because we've been here just about a month, a little over a month.
A little over a
And
month.
yeah, and I think I stopped just a few weeks before we were leaving. And it is wonderful. In fact, my husband had a doctor's appointment today and was talking. The doctor said, "So you're from Oregon?" you know,
Yeah.
and, and it
Whoa.
actually the conversation got into politics, which I wasn't going to go there,
Yeah.
but she did, and she says, "Portland, what do you do with that?" And I
Yeah.
said, where I live, where we, lived in Oregon, it was on the red side. There is a red side. In fact, most of the state is. We just have these pockets where the population is.
But where
And
you lived was it was a very defensible perimeter from Portland. If anything came that way, you're like, we can
yeah,
see him coming.
yeah.
Everybody get out there and man the ramparts.
But it is so nice to live in a state of law and order, I have to tell you.
Mm.
It really is, and many Floridians are going, "Oh my gosh!" With what's talking about politics, if Mondami, which more than likely is going to win, the influx of the New Yorkers, they're going, "Oh,
Oh,
they're going to disperse."
yeah, you made it in just before the big surge of people leaving, and they will leave because the stuff he plans to do, it's essentially it's repellent for anybody who has assets or property or any kind of saved wealth that they thought that they would be able to live and retire on. And of course, all of these, Trump was even talking about how they might move, Wall Street, move all that whole operation out. And I am
Yeah.
thinking Florida is probably the top prospect for where they would go.
Well, I had heard him talking about that, and he said something like, "We have most of it in Miami now anyway."
Yeah.
I'm going, "Really?" And so I don't know. And I was telling Charlie, my husband, today, I said, "We are going to see another real estate boom in Florida." And it's already been happening because I've been watching real estate for about 4 years here,
Yep.
and in our preparation. In fact, I wish we would have bought about 4 years ago, but it's what it is. And so people that can are relocating geographically to have a better life for themselves or their family, tax benefits or whatever. Just want to live in a red state.
Well, one of the things that's sending people fleeing Oregon is the death tax. The
Yes.
scariest place to die is Oregon because they'll clean you out, and they'll
Yeah.
do it if you only have as little as $1 million in assets, which, being a millionaire ain't what it used to be. And
Not at all.
and with property prices that went way up that don't necessarily make you wealthy, and then investments that are for retirement where you do have to save up a fair amount of money to last through the long haul. And they're literally talking today, the last few days, about how, well, Social Security is not probably going to work out. Like, it's going to go bankrupt. And I'm like, well, yeah, so you better have something else. And in Oregon, they want to take the something else from you. So
They want to take it all and then some.
yeah.
They really do. I'm watching, of course, what's going on. We still are invested in Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
and so I still pay attention and what is going on there. I have many friends, and so it's just so sad to see. And like the governor sitting on the bill and
Yeah.
will not sign it because she is deathly afraid of the citizens having the opportunity to vote and counter her damn taxes.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not sure what she's going to do on the 12th. Will she sign? She's not going to veto it. Will
No.
she sign it and then give a big finger wagging lecture? Like, you people of Oregon, you better not vote this down, or else I'll not plow your snow and I won't fix your roads.
Right.
That's probably what she'll do. But then again, maybe it's so bad because they had 90% plus opposition
Yes.
to the bill. It was so bad that they couldn't even really kludge together enough Democrats to vote for it. And then once they did it, then they took this emergency bill and sat on it for 30 business days. It's an
Mhm.
emergency.
Yeah.
This is what Oregon emergencies are, is they're all political emergencies. There's no real ones.
Mhm.
Because if there was a real emergency, I can tell you, I'm sure you've heard about this, and I'm sure many of these people are heading for Florida and other states. The economy, the jobs are draining away. The businesses are leaving. When you can't keep a coffee company worth
Right.
$1 billion in your state, you got a problem.
It's
And
pretty bad.
that's right.
It's really bad.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's Intel. Certainly, we know that we've seen layoffs at Nike, and Tektronix has been bought out. They're leaving. They
Mhm.
used to be the biggest company, Daimler, and it goes on and on because every week there's another company, and they got these buildings in downtown Portland that are selling for 10 or 20% of what they were originally built and constructed for, and people put money to renovate them, and now they're like, no one wants to be in them, and
No,
they
it's
have no
pennies on the dollar.
pennies on the dollar. And then they're saying nothing to see here. By the way, there's no um, crime problem. There's no political violence going on. Nothing like that's happening. We got it under control.
Except it takes 30 ICE agents to protect the building there against the radicals, that are wanting to cause mayhem. I've been paying attention to that. Andy No has been doing such fabulous reporting,
Yeah.
and that I see on X on that, and others that are doing the video and whatnot. And it's just so sad to see what is happening there. And here you have a Democrat voter, a Black Democrat voter, no less, that lives in the neighborhood, berating the,
I know.
Antifa for shut your stuff down. We can't take it anymore. How many days of months has all of that been going on, and the disruption to the poor citizens that live there. And
By
it's
people who
just
don't
political
live there.
theater.
By people who don't live there. They live
Yes.
comfortably in suburbs, and they drive in their Beamers and their Audis and their Subarus, and they park down there, and then they riot for hours and hours. They even have a safe house nearby where they can
Oh
go and hang
yeah.
out and party and do drugs, and then go back out and riot some more. And somebody's paying for all that, and I'm just dying to see what the DOJ and the FBI are going to do with these guys, because
Me too.
it's all in plain sight. All the means that the federal government has to go track down people who are essentially operating a domestic terrorist organization. There's big money funding this, and they got to go line those guys up and arrest them all and charge them. And they should get them on RICO statutes because they are conspiring, just like the mafia, to commit a vast number of crimes
Mhm.
and let all these layers and these informal relationships that exist between them somehow insulate them. Well, I don't think it's going to work out that way. I think Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, um, they're on this one. They're pretty serious. And, so the battle for everyone else, because you mentioned about Andy Ngo, right? You can see his reporting. You know more than people living in Portland about what's happening in Portland because you watch Andy Ngo or
Yeah.
David Medina
Yes.
or what's the other group?
Brandy Cruz
Yes, and
or
uh, CK Farash and what's the post millennial, the blonde girl that's down there that got hit in the face,
oh yeah,
and
with the
but
pole.
with a pole, and she chased down the person, found out who it was. Police weren't interested in arresting them, and so lawlessness is institutionalized. But in the meantime, there's all these election battles going on that I think we have to figure out how to prevail in them because the left. I know that we won in 2024, right? But we didn't win by 3 touchdowns. We won by 2 field goals. Let's put it that way. It was great. A win's a win. But for me, Kamala Harris came a little bit too close to being president.
Yeah, no kidding.
And we're 3 seats up in the House. And if you have 1 seat majority, you have total power. And if you're 1 seat in the minority, you have 0. And
Mhm.
then in the Senate, of course, we've seen what's been happening or with the shutdown and all that kind of stuff. And so I think we'll hold the Senate, but we're going to have to fight for everything because President Trump, he's only going to have a 2-year term if the Democrats get the House.
Yes, absolutely. This is a battle for our country, and we need every seat, every Republican seat we can hold and gain. We need every Republican governorship that we can hold and gain. We have to have conservative, or not just conservative, we have to have constitutional judges. We're seeing so much, it's really accelerating, and of the craziness that's happening.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the Trump administration is holding so many accountable. It's the accountability team that is uh, working to bring the sanity and the law and order and the common sense back to America. One thing this shutdown has done, and the snap being stopped, the veil was lifted. How many people are on SNAP and how
Yeah.
many are illegals? And
Yeah. Well,
that
they
is
won't.
helping.
Some states won't cooperate. I don't know about Florida. Maybe they're cooperating. Oregon has refused to share any of the information to prove that everybody on SNAP is a
Yeah.
legal American citizen. And the answer to the question is, if you can't prove it and don't want to try, then you probably have loads of people on there, loads of them. And then there's the
Yes.
fraud, which is on top of it, which isn't just illegals. It's like just complete phony balonies. I just saw a story today that there's actually a lot of fraud
Yes.
going on with this program. And if just imagine how useful that money would be right now that has gone to fraudsters that you could use instead to sustain the program while Congress is not appropriating anything.
Yes, and so I saw an article today that said 21 blue states are not complying with the request for who is, on SNAP. And and then somebody else had said, I'm sorry, I wish I could remember who had said, maybe we should just have everybody reapply. have everybody reapply. Then we can get rid of the illegals, get rid of the dead people that are there, kind of like the dead people on the voter rolls too,
Yep.
right? And Social
Yep.
Security.
When there's a connection in Oregon, because as soon as you sign up for government benefits, they automatically register you. So in Oregon, we kill two birds with one stone on that one.
Yeah, and they might even give you a commercial driver's license. I don't know. It's
Yeah. Yeah, you might get a CDL so you can go wreck a truck and kill people on the highway. How awesome that is. Like what a country.
yeah,
Um, I hope that California gets sued out of existence by those people that got
absolutely.
whose families are suing and got killed um, by that guy that failed like the test 10 times and then still got a CDL from California and then went out to Alabama, I think it was, or Georgia, and did a U-turn in the middle of the highway and killed people. It's just
Yeah, that
unbelievable.
fellow who killed people is actually right here in Fort Pierce, right out
Wow.
here, not too far from where I am. And my brother had said, that could have been you guys. I said,
Oh yeah.
yeah, except for I pay attention. I mean, you have to be vigilant because there are so many illegals on the road and there's a lot of accidents, let alone the people that are intoxicated. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they are really cracking down on this, but there's so much that was done in just, I mean, some of it was
four
just
years.
4 years, and some of it had been going on before that, and
Yes.
it flew below the radar, or blue states hit it, or there's only so much Trump could do in the first 4 years that he was
Yeah.
in there. But now he is on pace to
Oh, yeah.
roll all this stuff up. And then I love hearing these people complain like, well, you're accidentally arresting somebody, and I'm like, well, actually, they're going to places where there are people that don't belong in the country that are criminals.
Mhm.
There's 650,000 of these people, according to ICE. Biden's ICE department are in the United States. And they've got other people that are self deporting. They've only gotten to a fraction of these people. And the Democrats are complaining that they're getting rid of too many of these people out of the country. I want the Democrats to keep defending the idea that criminals should remain in this country um, who shouldn't have been here in the first place. That's a
Yeah.
great political move. They should keep doing it because they keep calling people like that guy in Maryland just a Maryland dad, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Maryland dad, not MS-13,
No.
Maryland dad.
Yeah. And he's getting sent off to what's it, Liberia or somewhere. He's going. He is going to the African continent. And
He's gonna tour the world.
how do you like that?
Love it.
I
Yeah.
love it. And I did not watch the interview, 60-minute interview that just was happened this weekend, but I saw the clip that they were trying to get Trump about ICE and is ICE doing too much? And Trump said something to the effect of, no, they're right on with what they're doing and they need to step it up. Maybe that's not exactly what he said, but you get the point.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right, because the floodgates were open
Yeah.
under Biden and was an
And they hid it.
absolute.
And they hid it on top of that. Like they'd fly people out in the middle of the night and distribute them all over the country. And then at that point, you needed the resources of the federal government just to investigate what happened as they passed these people off to all of these untransparent nonprofits that made them disappear,
Yeah.
including 300,000 children.
Yes. Boy, I'll tell you, they're finding these kids, though. They are finding these kids. That's a tough road, and I'm so thankful that they are. There's
Yeah.
so much good that the Trump administration is doing on so many fronts that it's so refreshing to see. And because of the shutdown, everything that happens negatively, like this shutdown and the SNAP program ending, is waking up more people. It
Yeah.
is waking up more people to the lies that they're seeing, that the so-called mainstream media alphabet is speaking about. And so it's just, I just keep seeing more people being the veil lifted from their eyes, that I just go, okay, we have to have empathy for people. And but we're in a fight for our country. And
Well,
I
and sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Well, I was going to say, and some of it really is a battle of realities, because what we've got is the media
Yes,
still, the same
absolutely.
media that tried to tell everybody that Joe Biden is a is on top of his game
Oh
and
yeah.
nothing to see here, and that Kamala Harris is a competent person and qualified and smart, out there editing interviews to make her look good. That same media is right back at it wherever they can get away with it. So there are still some people that are living on like these little silos where they're like, well, I don't know anything about criminal illegal aliens in my neighborhood, and
Right.
um, and they have no idea that it's just left out of the news reports. The long rap sheet that the Maryland dad has and all these other people, they don't know any of this information. They don't know, for instance, the biggest crime right now that the media is perpetrating
Mhm.
is telling people that Republicans or both parties or Republicans only have shut down the government. And it's like, no, actually, there's only one party, only one, that is trying to open the government. And the other party voted to shut it down and use it as leverage to spend $1.5 trillion that we don't have, that's not in the budget. So as long as they keep lying to a whole bunch of people in blue states, they feel like they still got their power base and they still got enough people snowed into thinking. And I talk to people and they're like, nope, that's not true. And they don't believe government reports anymore. The government is required to put out a statistical report about something. They're like, that's not
Mhm.
true. That's a Trump administration. And I'm like, and I get why they are skeptical, because I felt pretty skeptical of anything the Biden administration put out. But, I think the reports that we're getting from a lot of segments in the government, they're pretty straight shooters, you know? And what we're finding is, and this is just the projection, right, by the
Mhm.
Democrats, we're finding, for instance, unemployment numbers
Yeah.
where they cooked those numbers, and they did it for so long that it didn't start to get corrected until, statistically, like they kept going back and fixing old numbers for like a year, and so that meant that we were told garbage, while Biden was president, and then they're fixing the garbage and not telling people that they're actually fixing garbage
Yeah.
during the Trump administration to make him look bad. They are This actually should be, criminal for them to do this, to cook those books.
I was just going to say what they were doing was cooking the books, Kevin, and you're right, because they don't do any retractions of saying we're correcting, and yeah, it was there wasn't much. I was going to say there wasn't anything, but I won't say that strong. But there wasn't much that was truth coming out of the Biden administration. I didn't believe things. And knowing that he was absolutely asleep at the wheel, it's so
Yeah.
refreshing to see, to hear about the release of the documents these days. And I want to quickly just say, hey, everybody, I'm seeing your comments. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. It's wonderful to be here, and just thanks for the warm welcome. It's very touching.
Yeah, and they're reflecting on, we have some of the most informed. They watch our show. They know more than literally 90% even of Republicans in Oregon as to what's going on. Because I talk to people and they're like, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, actually, that's what happened. And so we're still doing that, and it's it's fascinating. People know history, that certainly that pay attention to what we're doing. All of our great super fans and history. Well, it's still being written. That's the thing, is that we're still writing history here, because the stuff that happened during the Biden administration lacked so much veracity that we're not just correcting unemployment numbers. We're going back and rewriting the history of what happened during the Biden administration with the auto pen, with today, Comey said that apparently they found an email in the court filing, a bombshell filing, that by acting U.S. attorney that's handling this case, that uh, uh, Comey thought he was going to be working for President-elect Clinton.
Yes.
And so his top aide was talking to the media, and he knew it. That guy's got to pay some price for this.
Yes, it needs to.
And I think that we're finding nearly everybody is probably very afraid of being sworn in front of the House of Representatives right now, and being asked questions that require that they tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Like the physician for Biden, who was asked, were you ever told a lie about President Biden's health condition to the public? He took the Fifth Amendment. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's not a good look. Hello, you can't even answer that question. He shouldn't be a doctor.
yeah, if you think you tend to incriminate yourself with this, then
Yes.
guess what? You're going to be investigated, and they're going to find out what you did and didn't do. They're going to figure out who told you that. And that person, if that person takes the Fifth Amendment, we are going to go through everything with a fine tooth comb, and we're going to find it, and we're going to send them to the pokey, as they should be.
We have to, everything, the people that perpetrated this, the stealing of the 2020 election, and Biden's administration, and everything that was done with the auto pen, all of those people have to be held accountable.
Yeah,
And if they are not held accountable, the truth is coming out. But if they're not held accountable, this will happen again.
they will do it
And
again. Yeah.
they will do it again. And so it makes me very happy to see the documents that they're releasing. But at the same time, I hold my breath going, okay, we're seeing some indictments, but I want to see the trials. I want to see the convictions, and I want to see them be tried for treason, quite frankly, because what happened in our country was treasonous.
It was treason. Yeah.
And
And it goes all the way to the top. And that's
it
what they're going
does.
to prove
And
it.
I mean, it's gone back to Obama.
Yeah, it's not
It's
only to the
gone
top,
back
it's
to
going back.
Obama.
Yeah.
And it needs, and frankly, what he was doing was treason as well, and undermining an incoming president. And there's so much there. So this is why these elections that we started talking about, this is why they are so important. Because if we're not winning seats, tonight, because there is an election in our community, so I called tonight. Just a little side story here. And I spoke to the chairman of our county's Republican Party. And he picked up the phone, and I found his number, right? And I called him up for the county chair.
You're already ahead of some of our county parties out here in Oregon, because somebody actually picked up the phone and talked to you. But yeah.
And I called him up, and I said, so
Yelling,
there's an election going on. And so I want to know, because I've never voted in Oregon, what do I need to do? And so he says,
you mean you've never voted in Florida?
Or Florida. Yes. Thank you. And so whatnot. And we were talking, and so the very same thing, he says, we're having a three-way race for a city councilor, a three-way race. And we're hoping that one of the conservatives would drop out. So it would just be a two-way. because we're afraid that the Democrat's going to get elected. And
Yeah.
yet we're in a red county. And so it is every election. And this is what we were talking about, is that it all starts local,
Yeah.
and it goes up, and we have to continually be vigilant, and conservatives binding together to for the betterment of the nation, not the ego, right? Or your city, or your county, or your state, versus like what's going on in New York City right now. If it was, as much as I don't like Como, if it was Como and Mandami, it would be a much better race,
Yeah.
and so we have to we have to come together and get behind very good candidates to win their respective areas, because the Democrats will be starting to run liberal Republicans, or liberal more conservative type candidates.
Yeah,
But
there will be the smoke and mirrors people that they'll
yes,
throw in there who will pretend to be well, they've got, so that's what's happening tomorrow, is that one of these races is playing out. I think it's in New Jersey. So Jack Ciattarelli is awesome. I think he should
yes,
win, but he's running against a four-term congresswoman who's done all this stuff voting for all the Biden stuff. She voted for all of that, but and she was a federal prosecutor, I think, at some point, or district attorney, and then I think she served in the military in some capacity or something. So she's a veteran, and they're just going to dress it up, and what you'll get is the same or worse than what you got right now. And we'll see if the people in New Jersey wise up, because they have the highest tax rates in the nation as a state.
yeah.
They actually can't afford their electricity right now. Their electricity rates have quadrupled, and it's all because of the idiotic um, green scam energy stuff, such as the offshore wind that has gone bankrupt and lost $6 billion. And they said, well, you know what? We can't give you much electricity, but here's the bill, and so you're going to pay it. And the federal government rightly won't bail them out. So with that, a presidential election and the two houses of Congress made all the difference on putting a stop to that and putting the people in New Jersey in a position to do something they don't do very often, which is choose a Republican for governor. I sure hope it happens tomorrow. But like you said, they're going to march out the faux moderates to
Yes.
just get through, and then they'll come in and they'll vote. They'll they'll get into office, and they'll all do what those idiots in New York are doing, which is endorse Kami Mamdani for mayor.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And we have to, I see a question there that Marjorie asks, do you think Christine Drazen would have won had Betsy not run? And of course I do. Betsy was there as a spoiler. Betsy did her job. She helped get, the radical Democrat elected. And that was her job.
And she
I
soaked up $6 million in campaign funds during the
Wow.
course of the campaign to get 9% of the vote from people who actually were not prepared to support Tina Kotek. So there you go,
Yeah.
right? And the Democrats got $500,000 from that hedge fund, that bankrupt hedge fund company that's that all the
Moda?
top, yeah, they're all going to jail. And
Yes.
but they managed to get it turned into a $500,000 loan just in time for election time to help them eke out a 2% gubernatorial win. And no one in Oregon's going to jail for it.
No.
Who knew that this is going on, including one of Ron Wyden's staffers was a interlocutor for that whole thing. Nothing's happening there. But you know what? That was the Biden administration. And so I don't know. what Pam Bondi and Cash Patel might be doing with this stuff. There's a lot to investigate in Oregon. A lot.
A lot. It's it's endless, quite frankly. It's so I love the state of Oregon, but it is so corrupt. You know, I mean, look at the gal. What was her name? She was Shemia Fagan.
Yeah.
Nothing ever came of that. You know, she resigned,
Oh,
but
well, actually, I can update you on this. This is
okay.
something that doesn't make it out. So I don't know if you recall a guy named Jeff Eager. He writes a great
Mhm.
column at Oregon Roundup on Substack, and somebody told him that they noticed that after the fall election, the attorney general, Biden's attorney general, I'm blanking on his name right now. Hey, super fans, give me the name. I know you'll do it in a few seconds. And the attorney general made a trip, supposedly all over the country, but he made a trip to Oregon just like 3 or 4 days before Christmas, and it was to tout what great crime fighting numbers they have, supposedly. Garland, Merrick Garland. That's right. The guy that the only thing I'm going to just say good about what's his name from Kentucky that was the uh, majority leader is that he did prevent Merrick Garland from getting to the Supreme Court, and now we
Yes.
we have to be eternally thankful for that,
Yes.
because we ended up getting somebody else in the end for that under Trump. Well, so this Merrick Garland shows up and has an off the record in person meeting with the U.S. attorney in for the state of Oregon, and then literally that afternoon, and this is what Jeff Eager figured out from some of the communications, the charges against Fagan were going away. They were going to drop them and just continue scuttle the investigation. So they just deep
Swept
six
it
the
under the rug.
and they and somebody called Fagan's lawyer to tell her that afternoon, right after the attorney general was there. He was out there on a body burying expedition, and he was putting this one deep sixing the investigation. And I think someone should be looking into what was done and who did it and what they said, because that investigation went away. There was that investigation of Lamoda, whose status we really don't know for sure, was an investigation that also subpoenaed a bunch of communications from the former director of Boley, and now Congresswoman from the 4th District, Val Hoyle, who seems to have a cycle of every 2 years breaking the law or hiding public
Mhm.
records
Mhm.
for a year in order to keep her political career going, because she's the one who just had 215 violations of the Federal Stock Act because she took a year to bother to report her stock trades. And Val Hoyle in 2022, her net worth, uh, her and her husband, was $439,000. In 2025, when she finally reported all this stuff after a year of delay, $1.72 million. That's Nancy Pelosi like returns right there. And that is the Merrick Garland made this one like go away. This is how corrupt all of this is.
Yeah.
This is what happened with that. Jeff Eager, great investigative journalism. He's a former mayor of Bend. We've had him on the program on a regular basis. He's probably due again because he also found, I don't know if you heard, this is a great Oregon story. So these probably don't make it out to Florida because Florida's like, hey, things are good out here. I don't want to hear all that crap from Oregon. But there is a supposedly a drug and alcohol treatment and recovery facility that was located in its address was some home in Lake Oswego. Turns out the owner of the home was a MS-13 gang member, or no, Tren de Alagua gang member, who got arrested in Washington State for kidnapping and attempted murder. And 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 so Jeff goes and figures out that this guy, that they Medicaid sent $2.3 million in money to this business that's supposedly helping people recover from drugs and alcohol at a Trendale owned home. And and then the other guy there that was heading up this company is one of those scam artists that is analogous to the Nigerian guys that constantly say, if you just send us $35,000 or give us access to your bank account, we'll send you $2.3 million.
Yeah.
And uh, they, they're somewhere in like Mombasa or something like that, hanging out in a basement with a data line. Anyway, uh, that's what the guy it was, that guy. And this is happening in Oregon. And you know who wrote those checks to them? Medicaid via the Oregon Health Plan,
Oh my
the
word.
state of Oregon. You know, because every penny in Medicaid is absolutely necessary, including the ones that are going to
Oh my word.
fake alcohol and drug. And we're 50th in the country in
Oh
alcohol
yeah.
and drug treatment recovery. I wonder why. If you write checks to Trendale Agua, maybe you aren't going to get a lot of alcohol and drug recovery and rehab happening.
Oh my God. So you're right. I had not heard that story.
Oh, that's just one of those gems out
Oh
here, you
my
know.
gosh. Oh my God.
By the way, it was Katie Daviscourt. One of our super fans was trying to sound out her name. It's Katie Daviscourt, is the blonde reporter for the Post Millennial who got hit in the face with a pole at the ICE protests, which aren't happening, by the way, because the journalists all went by at 2 p.m. and said, "There's only a few people out here." That's total lie. And then they go back and they report that and show pictures. And I'm like, these guys, they protest between 10 p.m. and
Yes.
2 a.m.
Yes.
What kind of journalism
They're
is that?
asleep during the day. You have to be there at night.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking, they're doing meth and going out there and protesting. You got to sleep that off,
Yeah.
before you can get out there and do it again. And you got to eat your riot ribs, and you got all the stuff they do. And I know it, you got to laugh or you cry. But
Right.
there's some good news because President Trump defunding all this stuff,
Mhm.
because they want to raise taxes out here on everyone because they got some DEI to fund. The transportation department has a $28 million department that's just DEI. They don't fill potholes.
Yep.
They don't plow snow. They don't fix roads. They just make sure that everybody, all those people out there in the orange jackets, use the right pronouns to describe their whatever colleague has been hired to go and be the hermaphroditic uh, road repair person. And they this is what they're spending the money on. But now the money is going away, so now they're trying to raise taxes on people, and it turns out people don't like the tax increases.
No. No, they don't. No, they don't. And I saw that there's going to be a utility increase in energy coming in Oregon, and the gas is almost at $5 a gallon. So over here, I saw today $2.80. As I was driving by, $2.80, and it might even be less somewhere else. I went, okay, 280. I'm liking that, and it's going to come down as we're drill baby drilling.
Yep.
And with everything that Trump is doing and the tariffs, our nation is actually, I feel, economically, we're doing better. We're far from out of the woods,
Yeah.
but he is turning things around, and that's a good thing. But on the other hand, Oregon is not getting turned around, and it's a damn shame. So is there any elections going on in Oregon right now?
There's some local levies and stuff like that, that are all on the ballot, and it remains to be seen if those will pass or not. There's no real important candidate races that I'm aware of right now. However, we do have candidates declaring to run in 2026, and that's gotten underway right now.
Mhm.
And I think we got some good candidates that are stepping forward. There's a lot of rumors around the fifth district, which is where Laurie Chavez Dreamer, who's now the labor secretary, where she held that seat. It's now Janelle Bynum, and
Mhm.
Janelle Bynum is a piece of work.
Oh, yes.
I feel obligated to post Janelle's amazingly idiotic interview that she did.
That was good.
Did you see
It's
it?
good fodder. Yes.
Yeah, the Speaker of the House shared it, and it's like, so this is what they got in terms of
Yeah.
explanations, and she's like,
But that's
"We're
what
just
got
on some-"
elected in Oregon.
What's that?
But that's what got elected in Oregon.
That's what got elected in 2024 in Oregon.
Yes.
And, so I think somebody's definitely going to step forward and challenge her. In the governor's race, we have two candidates right now: Danielle Bethel, who's a Marion County commissioner, who's been in it for a while, and then Christine Drazen, who was the 2022 nominee. She stepped forward. She's running. There's rumors of others, maybe Chris Dudley, they've been talking about. But I think um, people are stepping forward. And then, of course, we both, before we went on there, we were talking about Monique Despain running for the 4th District in a rematch against Val Hoyle. And as it turns out, all that Monique had to flip to win that election was 19,000 votes from Val Hoyle to her. And she's ahead of Val Hoyle on the first vote, as they call it, is the fundraising.
Right. Right.
The money that you build up in a war chest, because that's what sends a message to potential primary opponents and the rest of the country that's looking to get behind somebody who's got a really good chance of winning, that you've got your act together and you're formidable. And so she's doing great. And I think we're going to, see um, kind of an interesting effect here with the gas tax referral, because it's going to be, I think it's the 12th, Governor Kotek, who, as we started out the broadcast talking about, has been dragging her heels, signing her emergency piece of legislation to
Yes.
fund the Department of Transportation, ODOT. She has to either sign, veto, or do nothing, and it becomes law on the 12th of November. And then after that, and only then, can they apply for a petition to start gathering signatures and refer it. And they'll have about 45 days to do that, which takes them to the end of the calendar year. But I think there's going to be this whoosh effect. And you probably remember Measure 66 and 67 in 2009. I know that was kind of, or maybe not. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been around this stuff for too long, but 2010 was a good year politically in Oregon in many respects. We came within 27,000 votes in the governor's race of winning that. We got a tie in the House of Representatives.
And who was that running? Was that Dudley?
Dudley was the general election nominee,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a 30-30 tie in the House, half a gavel.
Yeah.
And that's the most control we've had since then. Well, that all started in 2009, gathering signatures and putting on the ballot and getting the grassroots mobilized to fight these tax increases that were passed by the Democrats.
Yeah.
And so I like that scenario of getting started early and fighting something that's very, very unpopular. The governor's clearly dragging your heels
Yes.
because she's afraid of the voters.
She's purposely trying to subvert a successful petition campaign. Absolutely. Because she knows it'll fail. The people don't. More and more people need to wake up and vote no and not pass any more taxes, quite frankly. No more bonds in the state of Oregon, quite frankly. They don't have a money shortage problem. They have a spending problem. And it is everywhere in the state of Oregon.
And they have a money wasting problem. They literally
Yes,
throw money away.
throw it away. Yeah, I mean, look at what the prime example is giving away Medicaid money to Tren de Agua. Oh my word. You know? I mean, hello, we've got people that are in serious need here, and that's what it's for. And that alone should get a federal investigation and a penalizing organ. You just start withholding some funds, and it's that will hurt in some areas, but in other areas, no. There has to be accountability. People have to be going to jail for that stuff.
I just found the article about Merrick Garland that Jeff Eager wrote. And then I'm looking for this other one. Oregon paid Medicaid mogul's second company. So there's even a follow on to this, but it was $2.3 million. And the founder of Uplifting Journey, the so-called recovery clinic, was a guy named Julius Maximo, um, which turns out to be somewhat of an alias, actually. And so it's just like, how stupid do you got to be to send that much money to somebody with which it was a fake name? Um, that's in a house
It's,
that's owned by a crime syndicate.
it's by design. That stuff doesn't happen by accident. I just don't believe that it happens by accident. Maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. But I just don't think so. I think somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And also, I will tell you, with USAID being defunded and non-existent anymore, all the Gitas are drying up
yeah, that's right.
for the Democrat Party and their pet projects and their NGOs. It's that is just so fabulous, that things that the DOJ is doing and investigating them.
And Doge, they really
Yes,
took
and
a
Doge.
path to
And
those
I
guys.
saw the comment earlier. Somebody had said, Oregon needs Doge, and boy, Oregon does need Doge. But it's sad that we do have legislators that frankly don't care. I mean, that's how you got this big tax just passed in the state of Oregon by one vote, and they don't care. We're gonna, just toe the line for the Democrats, and I'll probably be rewarded somewhere down the line. I don't know that people are thinking, oh, this will affect me. This will also affect my family members. You're not like in the elite here, and you're not paying anything like that. It affects everybody, and they're not, they're looking very short term, not the long term and what it does to our state. And I have sadly met even some good so-called Republicans that have done the very same thing. And it's very sad to see, because it's on both sides. And so we need to just get smart and elect better people. But
And
better people have to run as
they have to
well.
run. Yeah, we need
They have
candidates
to
to
run.
unseat yeah, and I think that's what we're starting to see here in Oregon. So that's why I feel like I'm sounding. So I just posted a press release that Monique Despain put out, demanding the truth be told
Yeah.
about Val Hoyle voting to shut down the government, because she's running around claiming that the Republicans did it, and that the Republicans are defunding SNAP. And it's like, no, you voted to shut the government down.
Right.
So we have to do a lot of truth telling, and we have to do it kind of in a tough way, because some people are literally living in a bubble and they just don't know this is
Absolutely.
happening. Um, but there was one thing that really cut through, I think, all of the uh, all of the, at least temporarily, all of the lies, all of the distortions, all of the misreporting, and it's what happened with Charlie Kirk.
Oh, yeah.
And that's happened since you moved to Florida. But I remember where I was. I was at a downtown Republican women's luncheon, and I was due to just get up and give some remarks and talk about what was going on politically in Oregon. And literally, in the 5 minutes before I was supposed to get up there, um, one of the women there got up there just to introduce me, and she said, "I have some really terrible news. Charlie Kirk's been shot," and that's all we knew at that point. And then I saw
Mhm.
the video on X, and I'm like, "There's no way he survived that."
No.
And but I think it almost like brought the world to a halt for just a few days, where just and I mean, and yet at the same time, it also provoked a bunch of the most awful people in our country to celebrate his death. And it just, I think it kind of captured in one moment what has been happening to our country, and what we can't become complacent. You can't just sit down and celebrate that President Trump's in office and think we're done. You know
Mhm.
who knew that?
Mhm.
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that the person who committed the assassination, um, and the circumstances of that person, their partner, what they wrote on the bullets, all this stuff tells a story about, and I think also the staffer that got killed in D.C., the the Doge staffer that got beat up
Yeah.
by people who didn't want his wallet apparently. Um, that provoked the DC crackdown, which
Mhm.
now is now safe city.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, I think we're in a different phase here. But I've talked to people that weren't doing anything and weren't paying it, and that happened. And now they're one guy I talked to is running for city council in
Yes.
Salem just because of that.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Charlie Kirk's assassination has spurred and woke up more people. It really, really has. And then when you see, as you just said, those that, in my opinion, have mental illness that are celebrating that, where is humanity? Where is the compassion? And I attribute the lack of that to our education system. And, I recall, and you'll probably recall as well, when we stopped disciplining children, I knew that that would be a big fall of our society.
Yeah,
I remember talking about it. I remember thinking about that, the repercussions of not being holding people accountable. Well, the indoctrination that has been happening in the education system, not just at the college, university level, but at the lower level, has been going on a long time. And sadly, I believe that's where these that don't have any empathy and that have more mental illness, that are not able to process having communication, having a conversation, and that everybody doesn't have to agree with you. I think that's definitely perpetuated that. So the blessing of Charlie Kirk's assassination is that more people are stepping up, and realizing, you know what, it does take me. We're not waiting for somebody to come. That before it was somebody's got to do something. So more people are saying, no, I need to do something now.
yeah.
And
Personal
and it's
responsibility.
and it's wonderful to see. That is wonderful to see. And the nation, our nation, but the world lost a great man, a great
Yeah,
man.
I mean, you can watch his videos going to
Oh,
college campuses and saying "Prove me wrong," and that it's so eye opening. I had truly admired his skill and
yes,
his ability, but also I'm just amazed at the inability. Like Val Hoyle, another one. She voted present in the memorial resolution in the House, present
yeah.
for Charlie
How do you
Kirk.
do that? How do you
I
do that with a
because
conscience?
that's it's a conscience, but it's also like they're just not for the principles of the country or
No,
for it. I mean,
no.
she's not, because actually celebrating somebody for standing up for free speech and peaceful debate is by itself, and somebody who lost their life doing that, that's what he was doing. He was literally doing that at the very moment that he was assassinated by somebody who wanted to. I mean, I think that was an attack on everybody and on free speech
Yes.
because of the circumstances and the person that it was aimed at. Um, and I think you're right. I think what they've done is they've now inspired a million Charlie Kirks,
Yeah.
and it will take time for some of this to manifest itself. But some of it's got to happen pretty soon, because if you've seen the seething hordes of No Kings protesters,
Oh,
who some of whom seem to be quite elderly, actually, amazingly
yeah.
enough.
Yes.
Really old hippies here in Oregon out there, like, yeah, kid, Trump's terrible, and they're like,
Yeah.
kind of on a walker, or just they look kind of emaciated. Anyway, the uh, No Kings, and the silliness of it, they spout conspiracy theories of like Trump. There's nothing but ice people in masks coming out of unmarked cars and grabbing innocent dishwashers and moms off the street, and that's all they're doing. And just they think that's the whole thing. They don't believe any of the rap sheets that for these criminals that are being removed, who are rapists and murderers and gang members and drug traffickers and child traffickers. And I'm like, here's a question. If Trump's a king, why are you allowed to protest? If Trump's a king, then why doesn't he just open the government up? I mean,
Mhm.
that's what a king would do. Why do you, as somebody we both actually know said, if Trump's a king, why do you still have your tongue in your mouth? You
Right.
know,
Right.
really?
Right.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
complete farce, complete fiction what they're doing. And then when I think back to what happened to Charlie Kirk, no wonder they're getting violent. They can't win on the merits.
No.
They make complete nonsense arguments, and now they're getting violent. And we have to stand up for this, because you don't want a society that's run by assassination and hit squads and violence. That is what is going on in places like Venezuela.
Yeah.
You know,
But also, we just had Halloween, and to see groups of teachers on social media wearing a freedom shirt covered in blood, covered in red. And I don't know if you saw that, but
Mm-mm.
I saw several pictures from different parts in America. And there was maybe 6 teachers or 4 teachers or 10, and they were all wearing a white shirt, freedom, and half of the shirt is covered in blood or red to depict. And they're going like this, and they're celebrating at Halloween the death of another human being. I can't fathom that, to have, and these people are teaching the children. These people are teaching the children. They have no right to hold that position, to
No,
be
they need to be as
trusting.
far away from children as possible.
Yeah, and it's really shown a lot of it's shown more of the ugly side of what has happened in America, of people not having any compassion and celebrating, and somebody's death. I don't would not want to celebrate somebody I dislike. I wouldn't do that. And that's not what we do as human beings. And we have compassion for one another. And I don't get that, but I'll tell you, I thank God for Trump every day. Pray for him, because there would have been, if you see this much celebration for Charlie Kirk, just think what it would be if it was Trump.
Yeah, and they tried twice. They tried twice, and I don't think they're done trying. But
No, no.
I think we narrowly escaped a really horrible outcome multiple times here, and now there's a chance. if we also realize that President Trump can only be president for 4 years,
Yeah.
we
Yes.
have to do the rest. That was I think the message from what happened with Charlie Kirk is you better step up because we're going to have to be ready for when we don't have a President Trump to go and fix all these things and make sure that all the people that say you can't do that, and he says, actually, yes, I can, and this is the Constitution right here, and this is because he's winning all these court cases.
Yes, he is.
You
Yes,
know,
he is.
there's some stupid judge that issues nationwide injunctions for which they have been slapped down multiple times by the Supreme Court for doing, and then they get overturned when it turns out that no, actually, judges can't run the U.S. military. They can't run the National Guard. They're not supposed to. They are not supposed to be in charge of deciding whether or not money in the federal government gets
Yeah.
wasted on stuff or not, or whether or not workers in a department that actually isn't doing its job and is failing goes away, like
Yeah.
USAID, right?
Yeah.
So this is, but then again, we just keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting these battles and plowing through. And now some of the battlegrounds, like here in Oregon, or the ones we're going to see tomorrow in Virginia, in New Jersey, in New York, and let's not forget California's redistricting vote.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. I hope 50 doesn't pass.
yeah, I hope it doesn't pass, but I also know that people live in this media environment where now that they're literally getting rid of an independent redistricting commission so that they can go and have Gavin Newsom play politics while he runs for president. I just think
Yeah.
that that just shows we cannot become complacent, even in Florida.
Even in Florida, you're absolutely right. That's why I called up the county chair today and said, "Hey, what's voting here? I haven't. What do I do? Help!
How do I get voting?
Who do you support? Help!
I know you don't have the dimpled and hanging chads anymore, but clue me in, right?
Educate me so I can make a wise vote because I don't want my vote wasted, right?" So yeah, I've got some more research to do on that, but I think we'll be voting tomorrow.
Well, here's a quotable quote that anybody can use, and maybe somebody already said it, but if they hadn't, I'm saying it. The only wasted vote is the one you don't cast.
Yes, it's a vote for the other side.
Yeah,
It's a vote for what you don't want, and in our country, we're so blessed to be able to vote. So many places you don't have that right,
you don't have
and
it. That's right. And you
yeah,
never get more of what you want the country to be by doing nothing about it. That's that's a sentence that almost answers itself. But how many people do you know say, "Oh, it's a waste of time. I don't even need to bother." I'm like, well, self-fulfilling prophecy. The country's not a waste of time, and it takes
no,
great patriots to fight for it even today, to do justice to the ones who fought in the past and to the Charlie Kirks who ended up losing everything just to advance the country just a little bit further in the right direction. So, and you're a patriot, Sonny. We're sure glad that you got to come on tonight and do this special show and be a part of it. And certainly want to have you on again. I know it's late there, so can't do it too often, but it's wonderful to hear from you and hear from the land of freedom out there in Florida.
yes, the Sunshine State. Let me tell you, the sun is out. It's been beautiful weather. And Kevin, thank you for having me on. It's a real pleasure. And I just, we're all in the fight. You are a fabulous patriot. You've been having some great interviews, and Don is doing well. I'm so glad, so pleased. And
Got
so, hey,
Leslie working with them now too, and let's not forget our good late friend David Darnell.
Yeah. Hey, I have a special request. I want to, I don't know if anybody has heard about a fellow. His name is Devin Dobek. and is missing. He's a friend of mine's, Hunter. Jessica Ballard is a girlfriend of mine who
Hmm.
I've worked with previously in some organization, and actually stopped the abuse. She was on the board as well, and her brother is has been missing since Friday.
I
And
heard about that. I just looked him up, and I now see that is where I saw a news article flash up that they're looking for him in the Mount Hood National Forest.
yes, and today was day 4. He did not come home Friday. He had texted a friend and said, "I've got my deer, I'm headed home," and he never got there.
Mm.
So please keep him in your prayers, and pray for the Dobeck family and their, their his mom and his siblings. They are beside themselves. And today they had 50 people out searching. Yesterday they had 100,
Says
but they've
100.
also had a helicopter out and using heat-seeking so it's a sad deal, but it is friend's family member, and I pray that he is found safe, because he is used to he has gear and he went out to go hunting, and you're, going to be gone for a while, right?
Yeah.
And so he's prepared and he's knowledgeable, but anything can happen in a fall or something like that. So
Yep.
certainly pray. So I'm asking our audience to please say a prayer for Devin Dobeck, and that he is found safely.
And for his rescuers that are all out there taking such big
Yes.
risks to find him too.
Yes. Thank you.
You need our prayers. Thank you for mentioning that, Sonny, and thank you for sharing that. And um, yeah, every day is a gift. Every day
Yes,
is a
it is.
gift, and we have to remember that. We have to keep praying, and we have to also do our part and make sure that we um, remember what's important and remind people what's important about our country. Got to fight for it.
Yep, we do. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Sonny. And thanks everyone for watching. I don't know what's going to be on the show tomorrow night. I haven't figured that one out yet, but every day it gives us tons of great stuff. And there's going to be some election results, I think, from the East Coast. So stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Captive Audience. Have a great night.
Night.